Good morning, 8th grade history. It's Thursday, November 5th, 2020. So today's assignment says I will upload a video that has a link to a thought-provoking video on our Constitution. Watch the video and summarize it. So I've already uploaded that video. I'm going to continue reading from this week's primary source. So we're going to talk about Jefferson's Statute for Religious Freedom. We're on page 3 of 4. Thomas Jefferson lived in Virginia in a house called Monticello. He wrote the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration talks about freedom, liberty, and equality. Although he is most known for the Declaration, Jefferson also wrote another important document, the Statute for Religious Freedom. This is a law that passed in Virginia. It said that no one can be forced to go to a church or pray or pay taxes to a church. It began what has become now known as the separation of church and state. This means that governments, not religions, make laws. The Founding Fathers wanted to continue that religious freedom, and they did so in the First Amendment. They used Jefferson's law as a model when they wrote the First Amendment. The First Amendment is all about freedoms. United States citizens have the freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion. Congress may not make a law that forces people to practice a certain religion. Congress also cannot make a law that takes away the rights of people to practice their own religion. John Dickinson, one of the Founding Fathers, said that keeping church and state separate helps countries stay peaceful. He knew that many wars and conflicts in history started because of religious governments. He wanted the United States to be a place where people can practice the religion they want, or none at all. Today, the United States is a very diverse country with many different religions. Some people do not practice any religion. The First Amendment makes sure that every citizen has a choice. Now, just as an aside note, I have 2 sisters that I grew up with. My father told the 3 of us, you may go to any church you desire, but you cannot join a church until you're 16. So that's how I was raised in my family. Okay, let's go on to the next story here. Ratification, not as easy as it sounds. The Constitution was complete. Now comes the easy part, right? Not so fast. The process of ratification or approval by the states was just as difficult as the writing of the Constitution. The first task was to share it with the states and the people. Each state needed a vote to approve the Constitution. Not everyone agreed with it, and the Federalists and Anti-Federalists worked hard to give their opinions for and against ratification. Delaware was the first state to approve the Constitution in 1787. That's why today the Delaware license plate says the first state. After 10 months, 9 states had voted to approve, with Virginia and New York unable to decide. Both of these states were very important because many people lived in these 2 states and a lot of money was earned there. In New York, Governor George Clinton wrote about why it should not be approved. He called himself Cato. The Federalists and Anti-Federalists argued their points. And finally, both Virginia and New York voted to approve. Now it was 1789. Only North Carolina and Rhode Island were left. When the Bill of Rights was proposed in Congress, North Carolina agreed. Finally, Rhode Island voted. The vote to ratify won by just 2 votes. The United States of America had an official government and was ready to get to the business of governing. And the last article, historic documents. Historians often use primary sources to help them understand history. A primary source comes directly from someone who was there when an event happened. By the way, I wasn't there when this country was founded, so don't even think that. Sometimes primary sources are photographs. Sometimes they are interviews of people who were at an event. Primary sources can also be newspaper articles or magazines that were written at the time of the event and quote someone who was there. With technology and the internet, it can be difficult to know if a primary source is real and credible. When doing an internet search, it is best to use websites that can be trusted. Websites with .edu and .gov endings usually can be trusted because they come from schools and the government. Better yet, people can go to libraries and government buildings and see primary sources for themselves. The Federalist Papers are an example of a primary source. There were 85 Federalist Papers written to support the Constitution. The text of all the essays has been recorded and is available on many different .gov and .edu websites. Why were there so many? Alexander Hamilton answers that question in the very first paper he called A General Introduction. Read the text in the box. In this section, Alexander Hamilton tells the readers of the Federalist Papers that he will explain and answer all of the objections, reasons others did not want the Constitution. It took the three authors 85 essays to explain their points. It worked, and the Constitution was ratified. Let me read this primary source here from Alexander Hamilton. General Introduction. In the process of this discussion, I shall endeavor to give a satisfactory answer to all of the objections which shall have made their appearance that may seem to have any claim to your attention. Okay? So, I'm uploading this today, and I've already uploaded a video. The history code word for this morning is don't. Don't. Have a nice rest of your day.